In this tutorial, we'll be speaking about the real rate of interest. That is, the real cost for the borrower for obtaining financing, or the real return earned by the lender for providing financing. Let's consider a scenario. Let's say you have a lender who provides a loan of 100 Rand at an interest rate of 10% to the borrower. Now let's say during the period of this loan, there are three different scenarios. There's scenario 1 where the inflation rate is 10%. There's scenario 2 where the inflation rate is 7%. And scenario 3 where the inflation rate is 12%. The question then becomes, has the lender actually increased their wealth? Has the lender earned a real return on the funds that they've provided to the borrower? In the first situation, the inflation rate is 10% and the interest charged is 10%. The interest rate of 10% merely serves to compensate the lender for the increase of prices of goods and services in the economy. The entire 10% is accounted for by inflation. So therefore, the lender has not increased their wealth in this scenario, and therefore the real rate of return is 0%. Now let's consider a situation where the inflation rate is only 7%. That means of the 10% interest that the lender is charging, 3% is a real rate of return. So they have increased their wealth as a result of this transaction by 3%. That's the real rate of interest. Now let's consider the last scenario. In the last scenario, the inflation rate is 12%. The interest rate that the lender charged is still 10%. So in this scenario, the lender has not even been compensated for the increase of prices of goods and services in the economy. The 10% doesn't even match up to the inflation rate. And therefore, there's been a destruction of wealth of negative 2%. The real rate of return is negative 2. So the takeaway here is that the interest rate charged is a function of two things. One is the real rate of return, which is R, plus H, which stands for the inflation rate. This real rate of return can be positive or it can be negative.